Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another speed build. So today I am building here in the world of Copperdale, which is of course the world that we got in the high school years expansion pack. So for this build I am creating a community lot, which I have done one recently, but in like my most recent videos, not that many. So I'm very excited about it. I actually started this build well before Christmas, and so sorry for the lack of videos, but I've just had like one thing after another go on, and it's just been a busy time, so forgive me. Hopefully I will be back more or less at a regular pace. My husband is actually starting a new job, and so he hasn't worked since the beginning of the pandemic, so that'll definitely change the amount of videos I'm going to be able to make, because I'll have to spend more time with our son, of course, and that'll take away definitely from creating videos. So I will try my best to keep up with it and all of that kind of stuff, but just so you guys know, it will definitely affect the amount of videos, but we'll see how much. But anyways, so for this community lot, I am creating a Boba tea shop, of course, a thrift store, and then a cafe and a bookstore as well. And then there's also an apartment above the Boba tea shop. And so originally the lot that comes on here is a combination between the Boba tea and a thrift store. And I guess that's what the Sims team was going for when they created this lot type. But I definitely prefer the idea of them being two separate buildings. And actually, I didn't know any of the thrift stuff was really functional. And I'm really happy that it is, because I did playtest this lot, and so the clothing racks are functional. Your Sims can actually like thrift for clothes through them. So that's cool. I'm not really sure like the clothes that they find because I just never do any gameplay. But I was kind of disappointed because there's a couple of other objects that are supposed to be like thrift store like shelving. Like there's some with like shoes and like sunglasses and like earrings and stuff. And then there's another table that looks more like where the cash register would be. But those your Sims can't interact with. So I thought that was kind of disappointing, but yeah, I don't know. But I was happy that the clothing racks at least were interactive. And then of course the Boba tea, which I'm creating here, I really wanted this place to be very like cutesy and colorful, because of course that's like the color scheme of the items that came with high school years for this particular lot type. And so yeah, it was really like fun and cute, I thought, and I really just liked the signs and the different decorations, and I thought this shop just ended up being really adorable. And then yeah, for the second half of the lot, I really kind of was drawing a blank, because I have done a lot type like this that's kind of somewhat similar, that's supposed to be a teen hangout, and I built it in the, what is that promenade world called? I'm drawing a blank on it, but either way, it's the promenade world that came with Get to Work, and it has just a few lots, and I built a like big like shopping center. Basically, it's not a shopping center but a shop center. And it has I think like a restaurant, and then a movie theater, an arcade, a bookstore, a void critter store. And so I just really didn't want to do anything that was too similar to that, because I didn't want it to be too repetitive, because I do want this build to be for my save file. And I didn't want it to be like the exact same lot, because of course that other one is for my save as well. And so I asked you guys both on my YouTube channel and my Patreon page, like different sort of lot suggestions or shop suggestions, and some of them were quite similar to the stores that I have in that other lot. So if you guys are looking for like an arcade or a movie theater, definitely check out that one. It's one of my favorite builds I've ever done. I think it's super cool. And yeah, so I got some other suggestions for a bookstore. So even though the other one had a bookstore, it was a very small bookstore. This one's not a very big bookstore either, but I think it's just kind of appropriate for a small town like this to have like a little cozy sort of bookstore. I don't know, I just thought it was pretty appropriate. And then I tried building a movie theater here, but it was just so cramped, and I tried an arcade, but I was like, I did it so well in my opinion on that other lot. Oh yeah, that other lot has a bowling alley. It has so much, it's so good. I will link the video in like the icon so you guys can find it really easily. It's one of my like best lots in my opinion. But yeah, so I tried messing around with like those other ideas, but they just weren't working. And then I thought of a cafe because that other lot does not have a cafe, and I assumed that you'd be able to hire a barista, which you totally can. And so it just ended up making the lot feel a lot more lively because there's more workers here. Unfortunately, there's not a specific worker for the thrift store, and the boba tea person is wearing like kind of a black suit, which looks more formal in my opinion. It kind of looks like a bartender's outfit, and so I thought that was kind of odd and kind of out of place. So I don't know, let me know if you guys think the same thing. But either way, I love this boba tea shop. I love the pink curtains. I love like the bright colors, and I think it's just super adorable and fun, and yeah, I'm just obsessed. But anyway, so for the rest of the buildings, the first building, I wasn't looking at these debug or live edit objects buildings that you can see in the surrounding area. I was just kind of making up a shape of a building that I thought would look nice. It's kind of a generic sort of American style shape, so it's nothing too interesting, I think. But yeah, for the rest of them, I found some live edit objects buildings, and I was just sort of mimicking them. So this one is going to be the thrift store, and I just saw this facade and I thought it would be perfect for the thrift store, and I'm just sort of copying it. Of course, it's not exact because we don't have the same build and buy items, unfortunately, that you can see in the surrounding world, which I always find a bit odd. You would think that you'd be able to find the same build items in game, but it just doesn't work that way. And then I also used that really cool mural. I put it on the side of the thrift store, and I really like the way that looks. And yeah, I ended up using these windows because they were the most similar to the ones that I could see in the live edit objects building, and they came from vampires. So I also thought that was kind of interesting. But I think this shop is so adorable, and I really love the way the interior turned out. I tried to make it feel very thrifty, and not just thrifty for clothes. I added artwork, a few pieces of furniture. I ended up putting a sofa in here also, which I wanted to mention because there's a few different sort of requirements for this lot type that I didn't realize were going to be a requirement. And that's like a microphone and a sofa and like one other thing I'm forgetting right now, but yeah, I ended up putting sofas, or at least what I thought was going to be a sofa, inside of the coffee shop, but unfortunately, it's not technically a sofa. And so when I was playtesting this lot, I ended up placing a sofa inside of the thrift store. But yeah, there's just like clocks on the wall, different artwork, and just sort of like random decorations and statues. But yeah, there I just placed that mural. I personally think that looks so good right there on the side of the building, so I was really pleased with that. And I utilized both the first floor and second floor for the thrift store, which definitely was necessary because it's a very small building, but I just think it ends up being so cute and so cramped and cozy, and it really just feels like one of those like small like American sort of like shopping centers, and you would go into a little thrift store that just has like, you know, so many different like random odds and ends and like vintage clothes, and yeah, just super like cool just to rummage through everything. So these are a couple of the displays that came with high school years that are not interactive. I really wish they would be. I think that would be so cool because the way I decorated it, unfortunately nothing is interactive here on the first floor, which is, yeah, pretty disappointing. But I decided just to leave it the way it is because I like the way everything looks. And then your Sims have to go upstairs if they want to thrift around. And Sims that were visiting the lot were definitely doing that. So it felt very just interactive and alive and everything like that. So that made me happy. Here I'm just sizing up some overhead cabinets to cover up those modern shelves that came with Dream Home Decorator. And then the clothes here, of course, came from Dream Home Decorator. And I thought they looked really good just as sort of like clothing displays for the vintage clothing here in the thrift store. And then over here, I'm just picking out some like artwork, and then I end up placing a statue over here on top of this side table. And yeah, unfortunately, yeah, your Sims can't thrift anything else, just the clothes. So yeah, I don't know. It's such a cute idea, and it is a fun lot type, but I don't know, I feel like it could have been a little bit more. Let me know if you guys agree. But yeah, here I'm just sort of like rummaging around trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to place in here. I really wanted to have some books because I definitely feel like people thrift a lot for books. And So yeah, I thought this old bookshelf actually worked out pretty nicely. And then these hanging bags I thought were pretty perfect as well. And then some more clothes. And I really just tried to not overthink it. I just really wanted to make it feel kind of messy. Well, not too messy, but definitely cluttered. And like there's lots of stuff in here. So you could like rummage around for like hours and not see everything in the store, even though it's not that big. It just has so many little knickknacks and everything. And then I thought this sign was actually pretty perfect too, because I wanted there to be some sort of like, you know, signage that maybe mentioned their deals. Maybe they're having like a yellow tag sale or, you know, one of those sort of things. And then here I'm just finding different like clutter pieces, some boxes. I really like this suitcase with those books stacked on top of it. I thought that looked pretty perfect in here. And then I also found some different items that recently came in the everyday clutter kit, like the chest set, and then also some of the there's like this nice display with some earrings and some necklaces that I end up putting on that table there. And then here I'm just adding a bunch of random artwork, and I thought that looked so cool, just kind of like cascading up the staircase. And I think it just really adds to that like thrift store look, having just all of the artwork on the wall. And so I thought that looked really nice. And then here I'm just looking for a lamp to hang from the ceiling, and I thought this one actually worked really nice for the style. It came from Cottage Living, but it just felt pretty appropriate for the look that I was going for. And then here, moving on to the second floor, I really had no idea how I was going to lay anything out, but I think it actually ends up feeling more like a store up here, like at least the way I put the clothing racks, because it feels more like you have aisles in a way, which makes it feel like a store. And so I thought they looked really good up here. And yeah, I was just kind of, again, trying to find random things to fill in the space, and of course add to that thrift store look and the cluttered look and the kind of, yeah, thrifty look basically. It's always so difficult to do voiceovers for community lots. Let me know if you guys make Sims 4 videos for speed builds. Do you prefer to do voiceovers for community lots or family homes? Because I feel like, well, not even family homes, just a home that a Sim lives in general is so much easier for me to voiceover, just because I feel like you can talk a lot more about the Sims themselves and their personalities rather than just the build. And whereas a community lot, it's like just the build, and it's like, you know, it's a store. And so, but also I'm a bit out of practice because it's been quite some time now since I've done a voiceover. It's been before Christmas. Oh my goodness, it's been such a busy time. We had Christmas, my son turned 2, and I can't believe it. It's crazy how like fast time goes. And then, like I mentioned, my husband's working now, which I'm very happy for, because that means I get to spend more time with my son, which of course before, when I was working more, I would not be able to. And then he's definitely excited because I think he misses being kind of busy outside of the home, and so that's going to work out pretty nicely, I think. Of course, he's going to miss spending as much time with our son because he's very, very used to it. But yeah, I think it's going to be good, but definitely there'll be some changes here on the channel. Hopefully I'll be able to squeeze in enough builds during like nap time and maybe like early in the morning or late at night. We'll see. I'm still working it out. But anyways, yeah, here I'm just adding more clutter decorations and artwork and just continuing with the whole idea and theme of the entire build. I also really enjoyed laying down these rugs. I thought they just really kind of completed the look of the interior. So yeah, and then here I'm just adding some rooftop decorations. And then at this point, I had tried a few different ideas for the second half of the lot. And then something that was really bothering me is I had the second floor above the Boba tea shop, and then I was like, should I try to make another store up here? But then I thought maybe for gameplay, it might be fun to actually have an apartment up here. Maybe if some of you guys want to like trap your Sim here and never let them leave, because of course you could have your Sim buy just an empty lot that's not very expensive, and then you could have them move over here. You could decorate like the little apartment up here and pretend that they live here in the like town center of Copperdale, which I think is a really fun idea. I did create a floor plan, but I did not furnish the apartment. I definitely thought that I would leave that up to you guys in case you decided to play up there. And then it also keeps just the random Sims out of here because unfortunately, if I would put like a kitchen and a bathroom, then the regular like townies that are visiting the lot will just go up there and like mess around and like watch TV and stuff. So I decided to leave it empty. And then if you decide you want to play in it and you don't want random Sims coming up here, because of course you can't lock the door in a community lot like this, I would just, the plant that I put by the front door, like that's close to the outside, I would just move it like slightly in front of the door just to block it so Sims can't get through it, but your Sim is like already in the apartment, and then unfortunately you would have to go back into build mode and then move the plant again. So it's maybe you could actually have something in your inventory that would be easy to drag in and out just to block the door from Sims going in and out of it. I don't know. I'm sure there's a great way to do it, but anyways, there's just one bathroom up there, a small kitchen area, a living area, and then also a bedroom, of course, too. But anyways, here I'm picking out the other buildings that I wanted to copy for the rest of the stores. So I thought this one looked perfect for a bookstore because I think it's actually a little like model bookstore. And it's just so cute. I love the red and the yellow and the green. It's just, I don't know, it's just so charming. And so yeah, I decided to try my best at recreating it. I think I did a pretty good job. I really wish we had that same red siding that you can see at the top there, because it's more of like a muted red. It's really pretty. And so the red that I'm using here came from, I believe, Spa Day. So it's not technically like an outdoor siding. I think you find it in like the wood paneling section. Is that a section? I'm not sure, but anyways, the siding color is like a really bright, like cherry red color. And so I wish we had one that was like this. It's a lot more just muted and dull and not so vibrant. That's definitely something that I want to see in like the future Sims game, is not such vibrant colors, because sometimes it makes it very hard to use. But yeah, here I kind of struggled with picking out like a window that I wanted to use. This one that came from Cats and Dogs I thought was okay, just because it was nice and open, and I knew that it would be easy to do like a book display here in the front window. I tried finding like a regular bookcase that already had like books on it, but what I end up doing is just putting a table over here and using the debug books. So unfortunately, this particular building is not functional. Your Sims can't actually go in here and shop for books, but if you want it to be functional, what you could do is change the lot type to a retail store and then put a cash register in here. And then when you wanted it to go back to a Boba tea thrift store, you would just have to change it back. So hopefully that wouldn't be too complicated to do. I really hope that at some point they release like a multi-lot system, because I really want multi-lots because I think it just makes a lot so much more interesting, rather than it just being like a bar or just a, you know, just a bookstore or just a cafe or something. I really like the combination. Thankfully, with the barista bar, you can just click on it and hire a barista on most lot types. There was one lot type I was building for in Windenburg one time for my save file, and I could not get a barista to show up. There was like no, I think it was the barista, either it was the barista or it was a yoga instructor. Now that I'm thinking, it might be the yoga instructor, but yeah, it was some lot type and it was just not working the way I wanted to. So I ended up setting it as like a park because then everybody would show up that I wanted. It was so frustrating. But anyways, here I'm moving on to the interior of the bookstore with the wallpaper and the different decorations. Basically, I was trying to keep this like a dimly lit sort of like cozy bookstore basically. And I just think it ends up being so adorable. This computer that I placed in here, looking back, I probably should have placed a cash register, just so if you did want to change the lot type, you could actually make this a functioning bookstore. So I might actually swap it out for a cash register before uploading it to the gallery, because you do need one. And then you might have to move the chair as well, because I do believe, actually maybe not, maybe the Sims don't actually need to interact with the cash register. I think it just has to be on the lot, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've play tested a retail store, so I might be wrong about that. But anyways, I absolutely love what I did there on the windows with those two different signs. One of them came from, I believe, Dine Out. I believe the fancy writing is from Dine Out. It might not be though. I want to say it is, but correct me if I'm wrong. And then the other one, it came from Cats and Dogs, and it has a nice little open book, and I just thought it was so just perfect for a bookstore. And then yeah, I just used tons of these book displays that you can find in the debug menu. I just used a whole variety of them. And then same as the thrift store, I utilized the second floor. Here, unfortunately, the staircase is snapped to the platform that I have dividing the two buildings, and so I do have to move that so the staircase is at the right level, and it's just kind of one of those things that isn't perfect about platforms, but thankfully it's an easy fix and I was able to work around it and it all worked out just fine. But staircases can be kind of difficult to use when close to a platform, unfortunately. But I think I made it work. I did have to swap out the clock that I was using behind the desk because the way the wall popped out, and it just ended up being kind of uneven. So I used that one that came from cottage living. I'm like, I almost like jumbled a couple of packs together, but yeah, from cottage living, and I thought that clock actually looked pretty cute. And then here, moving on to the second floor, I ended up using these book displays that I think came from Get to Work, that I think are supposed to be for like a bookstore. And so I just put a few of them up here and tried to create sort of like aisles basically to make it feel more like a store. And then continuing with the book displays and just using a variety of them, trying to make it not feel like repetitive, and trying to not place like the same stack of books next to each other, or at least too close to each other, so it doesn't look basically too matchy or anything. And then I do place another table over here with some more book displays, and then a lamp, and I put a few pieces of like artwork and just a few simple decorations on the walls, but just trying to keep it very dim and cozy and bookstore-like basically. And then here I'm picking out the different decorations to put on the wall. I kind of struggled with what I wanted to put on the wall, but yeah, just a simple like a few simple decorations and some like plaques and stuff. I really wanted to use this sign that came from Strangerville because it has like the bookstore look to it, but I didn't really have anywhere that I wanted to use it, so I ended up not using it, but I think it still worked out nicely. And then here I'm just finishing off the roof line by adding a half wall and a few like little vent sort of things. And yeah, I think that ends up looking really good. And then over here is going to be the coffee shop. So for the coffee shop, of course, I'm using another Live Edit Objects building to copy. And this one I ended up copying a lot less than the other ones. It ends up looking quite different. It's more just like the shape of the building, rather than trying to pick out like a door that looks exactly like it or windows that look exactly like it. I decided to open it up a lot more using a double door, and then also some larger windows. I ended up using the same windows that I use on the Boba tea shop just because they're nice and big and great for like a little shop like this. And I really liked using the platforms in this build, by the way, because I was able to create this staircase, and this building is a lot higher than the other ones, but it's still like perfectly functional because it's a medium wall height, so your Sims still have like plenty of room to like move around and everything. So I was really happy with that. And yeah, here I'm just adding the little like awning roof piece that the Live Edit Objects building has. But yeah, as you can see, it's pretty different though. I end up, I think, not using the window coverings, those little like awning window display things. I end up not placing those, but I use this sign here, which I thought was pretty perfect because I think it's actually supposed to be for a coffee shop. I'm pretty sure it came from Get Together, which is of course the pack where we got the cafes, and so yeah, I think that one works out pretty nicely. And then here I'm realizing that I'm missing some essential items, so a microphone and a sofa, and so I decided just to put a microphone with the what do you call that, like the busking station that came from City Living, and that way you can hire like a guitarist or a violinist and they can play live music in front of the coffee shop. If this coffee shop would have been bigger, I would have loved to put it on the interior. I probably could have, but I decided to make room for a bathroom instead, just because there was only one other bathroom in the boba tea shop, and I felt like it was necessary to have another toilet in this building basically. But I liked it being outside because it made it feel like somebody was just out there, you know, trying to get some extra money and play some music, and it just kind of creates a nice atmosphere. So I really thought that worked out pretty nicely. And then those couches that I placed in here do not count as sofas, and I thought they would because they're a couch, but I think they're technically a love seat, which doesn't count as a sofa, unfortunately. And so, like I mentioned, I did place a sofa inside the thrift store, and I used the one that came from the paranormal stuff pack. No, not the paranormal stuff pack, the maximalist kit. Yes, that one. So it has like a very vintage look to it, and I thought it was pretty perfect for the thrift store. But here I'm just picking out the different signage and just sort of laying everything out, trying to figure out how this particular building is going to go. I ended up not having like a lot of seating area, but it didn't feel like it wasn't enough when I was playtesting this build, because Sims were other places. They were in the thrift store, they were in the boba tea shop, they were listening to the music outside. Some came over here and sat on the couch even, which was pretty awesome. So it really just felt more lively and everything. So I was very happy with the way this turned out and everything. And yeah, like I mentioned, I did hire a guitarist, so that totally functioned. I was kind of worried maybe the way I was placing it would not work properly, but it worked totally fine. And then here I was trying to find a decoration to put on top of these tables. I just ended up going for a plant. I was trying to find something else, but I couldn't find anything that I wanted to use more than a plant decoration. But over here I do place this little drink tray, which I thought was kind of cute. So I thought that looked really nice. And then there I just placed a gate so the barista has something to walk through, because it just felt a little bit sort of awkward not having anything right there in that gap. So I thought that worked out pretty nicely as well. And then yeah, here I'm just sort of looking through different things, trying to find different signs and just trying to make it feel fully decorated. And then here I'm picking out some artwork to put along this wall next to the bathroom. And then the bathroom is pretty simple in here. It's not two separate rooms or anything, it's just a single room. And then here I'm placing another sign, and I do place some different decorations here at the back counter. Trying to not like place too many things. I didn't want it to be too cluttery. I always want to place a sink behind the barista bar, but then you have random Sims that are visiting the lot going back there to like wash their hands and get a drink and stuff, and it's so annoying. So yeah, I decided not to. But yeah, here is the bathroom. Like I mentioned, it's just one room, but I do end up placing a little window in here because it just felt kind of, I don't know, basically like it needed a window. So I ended up changing the orientation of the bathroom items, but I ended up making it very high school years using like, you know, the different sort of art deco items that came with this expansion pack. So the sink and the wallpaper and flooring and the mirror, and I thought it all looked so good in here. So I was really pleased with the way this came together. And then of course the soap and towel dispensers that came from Get to Work, which are perfect for any community lot. But yeah, this is pretty much it for the build. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys do enjoy the screenshots. Here I'm just gonna add the final few decorations, and then we're on to the screenshot. So yeah, I really hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season, a happy new year, and yeah, let me know if you guys have any sort of like New Year's resolutions. I didn't make one this year, but let me know if you did. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave any comments or suggestions you have, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. You feel like summer days to me, warm, tender, sunny rays. I hope that we are meant to be. You say nothing at all when we meet, yet somehow I know your history. Oh, come what may, I'm ready. Picture frames, lavender and pain, they all live here within this romance. I get the chance to stop the run and be the lucky one. Odd thoughts and some dusty dreams, and we seem to find common ground. Guess everyone's got their own sound. I never cared much about